Hello and welcome to MATLAB course. This is Salim. In this video I'm going to talk about the 2D plots in MATLAB. This is part 1. In today's lecture I'm going to cover the basic 2D plots and how to change the line and marker style. Let's start. For these two figures, we can see that the basic plot and somehow formatted advanced plot. For the basic plot, it is just very simple plot, but we can't understand many details from that. It's just numbers and some curves. But if we check to the formatted plot, no, it's kind of different from the basic plot. For example, we changed the marker and line style. So the line in one curves here, it is kind of that like the dash line, and also the marker here is circle and marker here is asterisk. So we manipulate or change the line style and the marker style and color. And also we added the x labeled and y labeled, x-axis labeled and y-axis labeled. This means that we can understand that in the x direction is kind of degree and the y-axis is amplitude. And we put the title to make the meaning, what is this figure for? And we put the legend so we can know what curve or what like kind of plot is representing, what's the meaning of that. And also we add some text to explain or give some description for the figures. So with the formatted plot, if we added this component, you can give the figure to someone and he can understand what is this figure for. So in today's video, I am going to talk about how to give the basic plot and how to change the marker and line styles. And from the next video, I'm going to talk about how to add the X labeled, Y labeled, how to add the title, how to add the legend, text, etc. Let's start. For the basic 2D plots, so we use the plot command to make the 2D plots. And the plot command connect the point using the straight line. So if we check here, it's kind of straight line, straight line, straight line, straight line, straight line, straight line. So he connect the point using straight line. But please note that if the number of point is very like many point and also they are very close from each other, so it will seem that this is kind of the curved line, not a straight line, but the plot command is give a straight line. And we have three forms for the plot command. The first one is plot x, y. In the plot x, y, so x and y is data. For example, if they are vector, so they have, for example, if x is 6 element, y should be the same 6 element. So the x and y should have the same length. And the x will be drawn in the x-axis and the y value will be drawn in the y-axis. In the second command, so plot y, so we remove the x and keep only y. In that sense, the y value will be drawn on the y-axis, but will be the x-axis in that sense. So for example, if the y value is a vector from 6 element, so the x will be the range from 1 to the length of y. For example, if y is 6, so the x value will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, until 6, which means 6 element. We will check that soon. And the third form from the plot is plot, for example, x1, y1, x2, y2, x3, y3, etc. to xn, yn. It kind of plotting the pairs of x and y. So for example, x1, y1, they will plot together, and then x2, y2, they will plot together, but both will be at the same figure. So each of these two pairs will plot at the same figures. Let's take this example. In this example, so he gave us the four vectors, x1, y1, x2, y2, and these are the value for x1, y1, x2, y2. And we need to plot the following. The first one is we need to plot x1 versus y1. So we need to plot these two together. And the second one, we need to plot y1 only, so that we need to draw the y1 on the y-axis. And the third requirement, we need to plot x1 versus y1 and x2 versus y2, but both at the same figure. Let's try to do that. So I will open the live script. To do that, it will be easier and we can read the question from that. So let's move to the live script. So if I go to this is kind of like the MATLAB window. And on MATLAB window, this is the default layout. So if we go to the layout, and this is the default layout. And then let me open the live script. So the live script, I put it here in the download. I can open it here, or just to show you where is it is. So this is in the download, and I can find the live script here. So I can double click, or from here I can open. So whichever it is okay, or just click open and then select this file and click open. And here the live script. And for this example, we don't need to show, so let me erase all the output, and we don't need the workspace, so I will minimize, and we don't need the command window, I will minimize, and we don't need the current folder, I will minimize. So now we have only the live script open, and here is the example we have. So I have the x1 value, which is defined from here. So x1 is 0, 2.2, 2.8, 3.5, 5, 6.5, 8.5, 12. They are the same. 0, 2.2, 2.8, 3.5, 5, 6.5, 8.5, and 12. So I enter all the value for x1, and then y1, and then x2, y2. So I define the four vector here. So we need just to plot. So the first question was plot x1 versus y1. So it's very easy, just plot and then open parentheses. Of course, he guide you here. So here he said that the basic one is just plot y, or we have the other plot x versus y. So we have x1, comma, and then y1. We wrote that, so we explained x1, y1, and we have some option here. We will know that in this video later. So we just draw and just click run the section. We just wait the code to run. And we have the figure here. So for example, for x1, the first value was 0 and y1 was 2. So if we check the figure here, x value, the first one is 0 and y1 is 2. And for the second one, 2.2 to 6.5. So here 2.2 and 6.5, something like that. And the third value is 2.8 versus 7. So here 2.8 around here, go to 7 here. So we kind of draw the value, and the last value was 12 versus 8, and here's 12 versus 8, something like that. So we draw all the line, and all the line connected with a straight line, all the points, sorry, or the marker connected with a straight line. And let me give you some kind of like some notes. For example, the output for the figure is shown on the right side, and the arrays or the code is wrote on the left side. Of course, you can show that if you click like inline, you will show this figure in the after the plot, but we don't need that. We just need to show on the right side. And also, I use a semicolon after every array to avoid to have the output. So for example, if I remove the semicolon here and just click run, so we will have the output from the array here, but I don't need to see the output, so I just put the semicolon. And the other note is, if I click this figure, you can see this small arrow, which means open in the figure window. Because if we run the code in the command window, as I'm going to show now, we will have, it will show in the figure window. So let's click here. And the figure will show in this window, which called the figure window. So let me show you, for example, let me open, this is the command window, and let me dock the command window. Let me restore, and let's move it like here, down, and then let me define x and y. I just copy and paste. This is x1, y1, and press enter. Now we define the x1 and y1, and we need to plot. Let me copy, just copy, plot x1, y1, control. Let me just remove this first to understand it's not here. clear all the output. Okay, we don't have the figure now. And I will put here plot and then x1 comma y1, sorry, y1, and then run by enter. And now I can't see any figures. Where is the drawing? Actually, if you go down there, there is two windows for MATLAB. The first one is the main MATLAB window, and second one is a figure window. This is a figure window. Okay, let me close it and redo it again. So let me write up arrow to have the same last one and press enter. So now you have the output is shown here. This is kind of for more interacted, like that, to interact directly with the chart, learn more. We don't need to do that, just close. And then we have the same window which shown here. This is the figure window. Just in case if you click there, so where is the window? Just you go down there and then you will find the two windows. One for main MATLAB window and the other is a figure window. Click here, you will find the figure window. For today's lecture, we will show only the output in the live script on the right side, but next video we are going to use the MATLAB script or the command window, so we will see a lot the figure window. But today we don't need. Okay, let's close it and then run again, run the section. And here we have that output here for the figure we know. And for the second, like the requirement, like plot y1. Okay, so we are going to write plot, and then the second form for the plot is just select the y. So we will write y1 and then run the section. And let me minimize this window because I need to compare these two figures. So I need to know what is different between the first one, which is plot x1, y1, and the second one, which is plot y1. In the case of plot y1, so let me count how many elements of y1. How many elements is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's 8 elements. So if you check the x-axis now, it became from 1 to 8. And the x now, x to plot x and y. So the y value, it started from 2, 6.5, 7. Let's consider the first three. So for the first point, he select the x will be 1 and the y will be 2. So this is the first point here. Okay, let me go to the PowerPoint and let me show that for you. For example, this is a code. And if we go here, for the second plot, it is, we extracted this y2, which is here, and the x value, it's ranged from 1 to the length, which is 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then draw 1 to 2, so 1 to 2. And then 2, 6.5, and 2, go to 6.5. And 3, 7, so at 3, 7, it's kind of drawing point by point. It's kind of, the x in that sense became from 1 to the range of the length of that figure, something like that. Let's go back again to the MATLAB. And the third one is we need to plot like several x and y pairs. Here we need to plot x1 versus y1 and x2 versus y2 at the same figure. So to do so, we are going simply to write plot and then x1, comma, y1, comma, x2, y2. So I write x1, comma, y1, comma, x2, comma, y2. And please note, we define the vectors here, x1, y1, x2, y2. So it's already defined, so we can run here. So stand here in this section and then run this section. So now we can see that, yes, we draw, for example, in the first one, which is 0 and 2. So here is 0 and 2. And the first point for the second is 1, 2.5. So here's 1 and here's 2.5, something like that. So we can draw like the two figures at the same plot together. It's very easy, very straightforward. Just define the vector and just write the plot command. And this is the note I just explained. If the plot window or the figure window, it doesn't appear after the plot command. If you press the plot command and you didn't see the figure window or the plot window, just move here to this like MATLAB icon and just simply click here, and you can see the window from the MATLAB. So select the figure window. And let's practice again. So for that practice, it's required to use the plot command to plot the following function. So we have y1 function and y2. Here is y1. So the y1 is sine x and y2 is cosine x. But he needs us to draw the both figure at the same figure. So both function y1 and y2 at the same figure. For the x range from x of like greater or equal 0 to less or equal 360. But this is very strange. So we doesn't define, like we know the range, but we don't know in between how's the slice. This is up to you. Let me check how to do that. So let's go back again to the live script. And this is the practice. For the practice, we don't know, like we know the range for the x. So the x is from 0 to 360, but we don't know how many. In that sense, it's based up to you. For example, let me select x equal to, let's make the line space, and then the start point is 0, and the end point is 360, and the number of elements, let's select 15 point. And then define y1. So y1 is equal to sine x, but x here in degree because they write from 0 degree to 360 degree. So it will be sine d of x, just x, and y2, it will be cosine x, but this is for that like the degree, so it will be cosine d and then of x. And then run the section. We need to plot first. So we need to plot, we don't need to see the value. The first question is here, what was the number of element for x? And we just let you select the numbers. So we selected 15. And the second point is, like we have only one x, but we have two y. How to draw? We have x1, y1, x2, y2, but here we have only one x. There is no problem. We can write x with y1 and x with y2. So same x for two different y, no problem. So we can write x, comma, and then y1, comma. So this is the first pair, and the second pair will be x, comma, and then y2. And just run the section. So this is 0. And then run the section. So when we run the section, now we have value of x, value of y1, value of y2, and output. And we have the output here because that we don't put the semicolon. So if we put the semicolon here, run a section again, we only have the figure. This is the figure. Please check this curve. It's kind of straight line, but it's not so smooth. For example, let me draw number of point 10, not 15, run the section, and the curve is kind of a straight line. But let's, in this time, select 100 point, run the section. Now you feel it's not a straight line. It became now almost like a curved line because we use many points and the space between the points is very small. So it's kind of the line, we can't see the straight line, we just see the curve, something like that. So we understand how to do that. Okay, let's go back. And here's the output. And as I mentioned here, the number of the element we selected in this example 40, but we can increase the number, and if we increase the number, we will have the more smooth curve. We finished the first part, which is just plot two curves. Is very easy. We have three forms: plot x, y, or just plot y, or plot and pair of x and y, like x1, y1, x2, y2, etc. to xn, yn. In the second part, we need to advance the line and the marker style. For example, we need to change the line style or the marker style, as we are going to see now. But this is very important note. For example, this is the plot command, and for the plot command, if we use it, the default is the line color, it's blue. So if you check this line here, the color is blue. This is the default. And there is no marker. For example, we don't have marker for each point. There is no marker. So please remember that the default two things for the plot command, first, the curve is blue. Second, there is no marker. Okay. But what if we need to advance the figure or manipulate or change the style for the line and the marker? For example, this is kind of the very general form. And here we have the plot x, y. This is what we already know. And we have the first part, which is the line and marker style. This is the first part. And then comma, and then the property name, comma, and property value. What does this mean? In the first one, which is the line and marker style, they can change the line color, the line style, and the marker style. I will explain that in the next slide. And for the property name and property value, they can change the line width, the marker size, the marker edge color, and the marker face color, as I'm going to show. Let's go to details. Let's start with the first one, which is line marker style. We need to change the line and marker style. And for the line and marker style, they can change three things: the line color, the line style, and the marker style. Okay? For the line color, we can change the color. For example, we can make it blue or green or red or white or yellow or cyan or magenta or black. But to use this color, we don't need to write all the full name. We just need a short name. So the short name we are going to use, for example, for the blue, we are going to use B. For the green, G. It's kind of the first letter. For the red, R. For the white, W. For the yellow, Y. For the cyan, C. For magenta, M. For black, because we use the B for the blue, for the black, we use the last color, which is K. So now we understand that the short name we are going to use for the color, mostly the first letter, except for the black, which is the last letter. For the line style, so we have the solid line, which is straight solid line. The short name is just dash. And for the dash line, which is dash, 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 as shown here, we will write in the short name dash, dash. So for the solid line, it's only one dash. For the dash line is dash, dash. If we need the dotted line, which is dot, 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 we are going to use the colon. And if we need to use the dash, dot, as shown here, dash, dot, line, we are going, in the short name, we are going to use this one, which is the dash and dot, dash, dot, in the between quotation mark. And in the third part, which is the marker style, so we can use the plus sign, which is this one, and for the short name we use plus, and we can use asterisk, which is this asterisk, and the short name is similar asterisk, and for the point we can use the short name is also point. This is very easy. For the circle, this is a change. For the circle, we have this appearance. We will write for the short name the letter O. And for the cross, we are going to write the letter X. And for the square shape, we are going to use S. And for the diamond, which is kind of like the square rotating to 45 degrees, we are going to use D. So for these four, for the circle, For the cross, for the square, for the diamond, we are going to use the letter. But for the dot and for the asterisk and for the plus, we are going to use the same, like the same, like the asterisk or plus or dot. And very important note, for all the short name, we see here that the short name put between single quote. But we also can replace a single quote with a double quote. Both are the same. Using single quote or double quote will give you the same result. So for example, we can write for the diamond D, we can write D between two quotes. Or we can write blue between two double quote. So it is no difference and it doesn't affect. And let's consider some example for that. So we still in the line and marker style, and we need some example. For example, if we write for the first one, plot x comma y, so it will be kind of the default case. So he will use blue, solid line, and there is no marker, as we explained. In the default blue command, blue line, solid line, and no marker. But if we use R, so here after x comma y comma and then R between double quotation, so the R here represents red. It means that he will change to red solid line, not blue, it became red, but still without any marker. So if we write dash dash y, dash dash, it means dashed line. And white means yellow, so it will be yellow dashed line, and still without marker. And please note that here we wrote dash dash y, it is the same if we write y dash dash. So y dash dash is equal to dash dash y. There is no order between the color and the style of the line. And also please notice that we mix the line and the style and we put them in the one quotation. I mean, we didn't use like the dot dot between quotation and y between quotation. No, both was mixed. And for the fourth case, we wrote plot x comma y comma plus sign. So this plus sign, it means that the marker will be the plus sign, yes, but this is very important. If we define the marker, but we didn't define the line will be removed. So this will be marker as a plus, but without any line. And for the last example, if we wrote prot x comma y, and then G, and then colon, and then S. G, it means green. And colon, it means dotted line. And S, it means square. So it means that we will plot green dotted line will be connect for the square, like the square markers. So let's check this figure or this example. In this example, we need to plot x1 versus y1 using the following format. And the format is we need blue dash dot line. So we need blue dash dot blue, it will be B, and dash dot, it will be dash dot for the style. And we need the square marker, so for the square we use S. And this is a value of x1 and y1. Okay, let's go to the MATLAB software. And here, for the, let's a little bit zoom, okay. And then we have the plot. Let me zoom a little bit. Okay. So we have the x1, y1, and we define the x1, y1 here. So you don't need, and we put a semicolon to suppress the output. And then we need to plot with the following format. Okay, so let's write plot, and then x1, comma, y1, comma, and let's define. We need the blue, so let's open single quote or double quote. Blue line, it will be B, and then dash dot, it will be dash dot, and then square, like markers, we will write S and then run this command. And now you can see that the line here it's became kind of like the straight, like the dash dot dash dot dash dot, and the marker here is kind of square 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 square. So, and the line color is still blue, so we can manipulate or change the line style and the marker style. And let's check this practice. So in the practice, use the plot command to plot the following function, y1 and y2 at the same figure. So they need the both function at the same figure. It is the x between 0 and 360 degree. This is the same example as we just, same practice we take, but we change it a little bit. So y1 is sine x and y2 is cosine x, same, but the format is different. So we need for the first one, for y1, we need black dot line in a circle marker, and for the second one it's red dash line with an asterisk marker. Okay, so let's first define the x. So we will write x is equal to, and the x here we will define line space, and we will put the first, the last, and the number of element. So for example, the first is 0 and last is 360 degree, and the number of element we will select 40, and semicolon to suppress the output, and then define y1. So y1 is equal to sine, and we said d because this is kind of the degree, and write x, and y2 is equal to cosine d because this is still degree for the x value. And then we need to plot, so plot, and then we write x comma y1. Before writing x comma y2, we need to define the format first for the first two pairs. So the first pair, it said that black, so it will be k, and dotted, it will be like the dotted, it should be colon, and then circle, it will be O. So let's define black k, and colon to have the dot, and circle, it will be O. And then comma, and then select x comma, and then y2, and then comma, and then we need to, inside the double quotation or single quotation, we need here the second format, which is red dash line with the asterisk. So red, it will be R, dash, it will be dash dash, and asterisk, it will be this asterisk. We finish, just run the section. And if we check here, that the first line, it is shown in black, and it is dotted, 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 and we have here this like the circle marker. And for the second one, it is kind of red with asterisk, and the line type is line dot, line dot, line dot, like that. If we zoom, we can, sorry, dash, it will be dash, so dash, dash, dash. If we zoom, we can check the dash, dash, dash. So we finished that one. Let's go back to the presentation. This is the example, and this is the same practice we just had. And let's move to the second or the next step. So in the first step, we learn about the line style and marker, which we change the line color, the line style, and marker style. But here, we need to change the property name and the property value. And for the property name and property value, we can change the line width, or the marker size, or the marker edge color, or the marker face color. And what does this mean? Let's check. For example, in the first case, which is the line width, for example, the default line, it is 0.5, this is the thickness. But we can increase the width for the line. For example, if we write 1 or 1.5 or 2, so we increase the thickness for the line. So we wrote here, this is line width, and the line width is kind of description for what inside. And for the second one, which is the marker size, and the marker size, the default is size 6, But we could increase the size, for example, to make it 10 or 15 or 20 or even smaller, like 2 or 3 or 4. So we can change the marker size based on our preference. And for the marker edge color, it means that for the marker we have the outline. So we need for the outline to change what is the color. So for example, we can select blue, red, cyan, and black. And we use the same letter we explained before for the line color. So it is blue, we take B, green, G, red, R, etc. So it is the same combination of the color we can use. And for the marker face color, it means that the fill inside the marker, how to fill the marker. For example, we can fill like green or magenta or yellow or red. So based on your preference, you can fill the marker inside that. And we use again the same table. And please note that we defined here two values, and two values come together. We define the property name and property value. For example, we write the line width and then give what value do you need to assign, for example, 2, and then the marker size, for example, 10, and the marker edge color, it is, we can say the blue, and the marker face color, we can say K, which is black. So these value can be changed, which means 2, 10, B, and K. And also we don't need to write all together. We just selected some of these. So we only need to change some, and some we don't need it based on our preference. Let's take the example. In this example, we give x1 versus y1. We need to plot again. This is the same value we had before, x1 and y1, still the same value. But in this time, we need to manipulate or change the format. For example, we need the blue dash dot line. We need a square marker. We need the line width to be 0.8. We need the marker size to be 10. We need the marker edge color to be black. We need the marker face color to be yellow. Let's do that. So we defined here x and y, and just we need to plot. So we can write plot, and then we write x1, y1, and then we defined the first combination for the line and marker style. We need the blue, and then dash dot, it means dash dot. And we need a square marker. So the square marker, it should be S. So now we defined the general things. And then we need to define, please check, he explained for you, this is the line specification, which is this part. And then he guide you if you have another pair, which is x1, x2, y2, or no, we don't need that. We need to double quotation again to define. So he gave you the option. There are many options here, not only these four I explained, there are many, but just I mentioned the most popular four. For example, we mentioned that we need the line width. So write line, and he will give you line style, line width, line joint, for example, line width. Once we select it, it will be automatically completed. And for the line width, we can say comma 0.8, comma, and then let me just run for this. Of course, I will continue, but let me just show you what will be the difference every time. So here it is blue, dash dot, and then square, and then the line width, it is 0.8. So this is the line width. And please notice that the line here and the line here, this is slightly bolder. So for example, if we write 1.5 and then run the section, the line will be more thicker. So because we select the line width is bigger. And then comma, and let me define the second. We need the marker size to be 10, yes? So we will write marker, and please notice that we can use marker size, capitalize M and size, like marker and size, and also we can make it small. For example, marker and then size. So here we doesn't capitalize each word, it will work. After finish, comma, and then we write 10. And let me run the section to check what will happen. So can you check the difference, or that it is changed? For example, if I make it 15 and then run the section, the marker getting bigger and bigger. And then comma, and then quotation, double quotation or single quotation. And then we can define the marker edge color. So we can write marker edge color. And again, we don't need to capitalize the H letter, the start letter of each word. And then comma, and then we need to write black, so it should be K. And let me just run this section to check the difference. So every edge became here black. And then comma, and then again we need the marker face color. So marker face color, and then comma, and then we need yellow, so it will be Y. And then let me run the section, and we can see that the fill here became yellow. No, it doesn't, I don't like it. Maybe I needed green or magenta, for example, M. So just run the section. We will have different. So please follow these values. So if we return back to the original, which is 0.8, and then the size, it should be 10, and then black, and then yellow, and then run the section, we will have the final output. So we can check. And please, as I mentioned, we don't need to write all the 4, or we can add more. It based on which element we wish to change in our figure. And let's practice. So this is still the same practice we take, but we take it like in a deeper place. So we need to use the plot command to plot the following function. So we need to plot y1 and y2, and y1 is sine x and y2 is cosine x, and at the same figure, of course. And for the x ranges from 0 to 360, and in this time we need to do black dot line with a circle marker and red dash line with an asterisk marker. This is okay. And also we need to put the line width to make it 1.2, and the marker size is 5. So only here we selected 2 types of the property name and property value. Okay, so let's define x. X is equal to, we can write line space, and then from 0 to 360, and we can write the value, for example, let's take it this time 50, and semicolon, enter, and then y1, which is sine d for x, sine, and y2, it is cosine d of x. We define both, and then let's plot. So for the plot, we are going to make the pair. So for the first one, we write x comma y1, and then define the property for the first one. So for the property for the first one, we need the black K, and then dotted line, it will be colon, and then the circle marker, it will be O, and then comma, and then define the second property, which means x2, x and y2, x comma y2, and then define the property, which is mean red dash line with asterisk. So red, it mean R, and dash, it mean dash dash, and asterisk, it's asterisk, and comma. And we need to define these 2 property names and value. So line width, okay, line width, and then comma, and we put 1.2, comma, and then marker and size, and comma, and we put 5. Let's run. and we have these two figures, and now we change. So please check this figure from this figure. Maybe here we make the line width is thicker, so we can check the line here is better. And the marker size, we make it kind of like this. The default is 6. We slightly decrease it to 5, no problem, but it's still good for us to see that. And this is the example, the first example. And this is the practice we just finished. And this is the last practice we have. In this practice, we need to use the plot command to plot the function. So this time the function is kind of advanced or more complicated than the simple y equal sine x or y equal cosine x. So here the y is equal to x squared minus 10 to square x plus 2 for the range of x from 0 to 5 using the full wing format. So the format we already know, so we need red dot line. The red line, it means R, dot it means colon, and then circle it means O, and then line width, we will write line width, marker size, marker edge color, marker face color. For the function, this is what we explained in the previous video. In the previous video, we explained how to, do some like the arithmetic operation for the matrix. For example, here x it's from 0 to 5, so x may be 5. For example, we can put 0.2, 0.4, 0.6, etc. to 5. We have many value of x, and we need for this x, we need to estimate y. And the y in this case, for every value, the y is equal to x squared minus 10 square root x plus 2. And the x is a vector, so the y also will be vector. So the y, it is equal this value. So to write this, please remember that x, if it's a vector, and we need to put that to the power, we should write dot to the power 2. And then minus 10, and then multiply to square root to the x, and plus 2. Let's do that in MATLAB. Here is the last practice. So let's define x. So x is equal to, and let's make line. And this time I will not use the line space. Let's do any other things. For example, let's take the column. So the start point is 0 and column. And the increase step, for example, let's make 0.5. And for the final value, which is 5, and semicolon. And then define the y, and the y in this case is equal to x squared. So if we write x to the power 2, this is wrong. So let's try. Even if for the first part, this is wrong because this is the power. And x is a vector, so we should have a dot to the power. And then minus 10 multiplied to square root to the value x. And 10 is scalar, multiply scalar to the vector, no problem. And also using the function like square root to the scalar to the vector, no problem. And then finally plus 2. And just to see the value, let's run. And now we have value for the y. And then let's plot. So we have plot. And let's write x and y. So we have x comma y comma. And then we need to do that like the format. Red dot line, red it's like that. Dot it's mean like we need to write dot, so it will be colon. And then the circle marker, it should be O. So we finish the first format. And then we need to write line width. So here we will write line width, double quote, and write line width. As I mentioned, we don't need to capitalize. We can capitalize the first and keep the second. And then 1.2, let's run to check. Is it okay? So we don't need to make line as a capital. We can write line small and also if we run it will be okay. So we can write what if we wish, and then comma, and then marker size, it will be 8. So let's write the marker size, and the value is 8. And then marker edge color, it's black. Okay, so marker edge color, comma K, sorry, this is should be inside K. And then the last one is marker face color, which is green. So let's write the marker, and we have here face color, we can select it. We don't need to write everything by our hand. And then green, it is G. And let's run the section. And now we have yes. So we have the line, and this is dotted line, and we have the red line, and we have the line width 1.2, and we have the marker size, and we change everything. So I think we finished for this video, and I'm looking forward for the next video where we can change we add the x-axis label, y-axis label, title, legend, and do more advanced thing with the plot. That's all for today. Thank you. Bye-bye.